Welcome to 28 Days and Beyond, where we reflect on our history, our heritage, our culture, and our own authentic voice. And we're at season 3, and we have a good co-host with us today.
Hey.
Welcome to the set, Amari Johnson.
Thank you very much. How you doing, Alex? You all right?
I'm doing good, man.
Good,
hey, Amari, give people a snapshot of who you are.
Okay, my name is Amari Johnson. I am a musician, a scholar, a friend. You know what I mean? Yeah, just, really committed to the study, health, well-being, and liberation of African people worldwide.
Okay.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Well, I'm a type of guy where some of the things that I work on is I have people resolve conflict in diplomatic ways so that it doesn't resort into violence, where we can hear one another despite the difference, where it doesn't, if it creates tension, we'll know how to do it in a healthy way.
Gotcha.
But one of the things I'm thinking about and what has been transitioning throughout this political discourse when we think about our history and our heritage, when people say Black Lives Matter, how important is Black life? What are some of the things that come to mind?
That come to mind? Well, as you call this is a third rail conversation, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you take that one first, and then,
Well, sometimes I think that what causes the conflict, when we begin to talk about ourselves, sometimes we feel guilty, right? Sometimes it seems like
who?
We as people of color.
Got you.
Because we've been taught and conditioned in a way to not be liberated and be thoughtful and be bold about what we do, because at times it's one of those sticky conversations. Because now I hear the thing that Black people can be racist. And as you well know, racism is a social construct. It's those who are in power. It's hard for people who will be oppressed to be racist, just like it's hard for a woman to be a chauvinist, unless she's the ruling, controlling person that can oppress that subgroup into submission. So those are some of the things I think about. And you hear all this language about those things, and I think people have misconstrued those things. What about your thoughts when you hear it?
When I hear Black Lives Matter, I know obviously this is going to be a theme throughout the season, right? What is the value of a Black life? And we'll be approaching that from different angles: art, education, whatever, many different angles. For me, the phrase Black Lives Matter suggests to me that there is a belief that Black lives don't matter, right? What's really important to me is the understanding when you say a phrase like that, who are you talking to, right? And let's say, oh, well, there's a system. So you mentioned racism and racism as a power structure, right? So, global systems of oppression that we're going to speak truth to power. But the fact is that Black lives mattering or not does not disrupt their daily agenda, right? You understand what I mean by that? So in the sense that, you can take to the streets and you can protest, but what are you actually changing? Do you think that one day they'll wake up and they'll say, oh, you said Black Lives Matter. I didn't know that before, but now is that, you know what I mean? So one of the things that I'm really excited about over the course of this season is really getting more into how is it that people are thinking about this term Black Lives Matter, who are they really speaking to when they say those things, and what are they doing in their local communities or in the national community to really call attention to whatever issues it is that they find to be most important.
And you know what life is going to matter? When you hear the word ballerina, what comes to mind?
Ballerina. So we jump from Black Lives Matter to ballerinas. Yeah, certainly so. I think when I hear ballerina, oh, that's an easy one, Misty Copeland. Over the past few years, she's really changed the face of what ballet is and what a ballerina looks like. So obviously, I'm happy to see your sister up there. So yeah, that's what comes to mind.
But you know what we're gonna do?
What we're gonna do?
We're gonna bring an expert to the set and settle this score. And coming to the set with us next is gonna be Joan Meyers Brown from Philadelphia.
Nice.
Finally tonight, classical dancer Misty Copeland is only the second African-American woman ever to reach the level of soloist at American Ballet Theater, and the first in 20 years. She recently performed here at the Kennedy Center in Washington, and while she was here, she sat down with us to share the story of her rise from poverty to the spotlight and her desire to open the world of ballet to all economic backgrounds and races. She began by reading from her new memoir, Life in Motion, An Unlikely Ballerina. In it, she recounts the evening she danced the title role in Stravinsky's Dance of the Firebird.
Outside the largest crowd I have ever seen waits. Prominent members of the African American community and trailblazers in the world of dance who have seldom received their due are here tonight. But I know I will also dance for those who aren't here, who pass the Metropolitan Opera House but cannot imagine what goes on inside. They may be poor, like I have been, insecure, like I have been, misunderstood, like I have been. I will be dancing for them too. I run onto the stage and feel myself transform. As I approach center, my flock parts, leaving me to stand alone. There's a brief second of silence before the audience erupts into applause once more, clapping so loudly I can barely hear the music. And so it begins.
Welcome to the set, our beautiful guest, Joan Meyers Brown from Philadelphia. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you're a very accomplished woman, and I feel like I owe a sense of gratitude. My daughter went to Philadelphia.
And I said, doesn't everybody's daughter go to Philadelphia?
I used to be in a dance group, but that's a little later.
Okay.
But to give people a history on, or some information, background on Philadelphia and all the other subsidiaries and all the other companies that you have created or founded.
Well, actually, Philadelphia is more than a dance company. People think of it as only a dance company, but we have 3 schools, 3 dance companies. We tour, we teach, we train. In fact, tomorrow I'm leaving for an association I started in Dallas, Texas. That's the International Association of Blacks in Dance. So there's a lot that we do.
A lot that you do, huh?
Yeah.
So what has inspired you to get involved?
To get involved or get started?
Both started and
Okay,
involved.
well, you know, there are lots of things that need to be done, and when we see there's a need to do something, we try to make it happen, especially for our African American or young people of color, so that they have opportunities that are often missing. My company is 47 years old. My school is 57 years old.
So why dance?
Well, dance has me. I don't have dance. So I fell in love with dance in high school, and I've been dancing ever since.
And where'd you grow up?
West Philly,
West Philly.
down the way.
Born
I'm a
and
down
raised?
the way girl.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
And you spent a little time in North Carolina as well?
Well, no, my parents are from North
Okay.
Carolina. I've never lived there.
Okay.
No.
Which brings me, so parents are from the South. You was born up north. And what was that cultural context from going to dance? Was it someone in your genes? Was it someone in your heritage or whatever the case may be? Because usually people from the South are a little, I don't want to use the word conservative, but they're a little bit more, dance wasn't always, you know.
Well, you know, my grandfather was a minister, so
Oh, that's
dance
okay.
wasn't something that was happening in the family, especially back in the day when I was young. You know, it was a sin to dance. But I had a grandfather who said it's all right to dance. You just have to remember to dance for the Lord sometime.
Right. Leave room for the Holy Spirit.
He was ahead of his time. You know, all the churches have praise dancing now of some sort. But dance is something, again, that we all did. Even back in Africa, the folks were dancing at weddings, funerals, whatever went on, there was dance involved. But as far as a career or studying dance or being involved with training of dance, that was something else. And again, my dance teacher in school started me. I was in 11th grade, actually, when I got introduced to ballet.
But Philadelphia focuses on more than just ballet, right? What are some of the disciplines
Well,
within
you know,
dance?
there are many different forms of dance. We do modern, we do hip-hop, we do African, we do acrobatics, we do everything that is involved with using the body as far as being a dancer.
So do you also, because one of the things I know is that they're very fit dancers.
Well, we say dancer is a perfect athlete.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not a track star.
We try to teach. Well, I have a girl that was a track star who,
Okay.
when she didn't make it to the Olympics, she decided dance was it.
dancing.
But you know, we try to teach football players and basketball. In fact, the first guys in my company were football players.
Which is good.
They fell in love with the girls, of course, but they ended up being dancers.
So let me ask this. So one of the things that come to mind, because you talked about your father being a minister.
A grandfather.
Oh, grandfather, I'm sorry. Grandfather being a minister, being Southern. And when you came home and you say, I don't know if you said it to your dad or your grandfather, I want to dance. What did they say?
Yeah.
My father told me, no way.
Okay.
And I'm not going to tell you what he said. But my mother was a research and chemical engineer because during the war she was a chemist. And women were given jobs that they probably wouldn't have gotten if it hadn't been a war. And she was a little more, if that's what you want to do, you know, she supported me and made sure that I got training and got involved.
And this dance has brought you all around the world.
Well, actually, I would say pretty much we've been to 20 countries.
Wow.
And we go back to England this year, and we do a lot. Philadelphia gets around.
Yeah, we
So coming up as a dancer, what are some of your most memorable experiences?
Well, they used to have an event called the Philadelphia Cotillion, and it used to be at Convention Hall before they tore it down.
Gotcha.
And you know, this was something that the black youngsters of that era, we're talking about 49, 50s, this is something we all look forward to. And a lot of the dancers of that time really had successful careers eventually when the doors opened, schools opened, opportunities opened. Haven't opened all the way yet, but they opened then. And so a lot of those dancers became famous.
How did you stay authentic to who you were and break down those barriers that, you know, you had to fight through?
I'm still breaking down barriers.
Okay.
Last year we had an audition in Denver, Colorado for black girls looking to be ballet dancers. We had 101 girls from around the country come out and audition for the major companies that pretended they couldn't find black ballet dancers. And you know, Misty wasn't number one. There were many before her.
Right.
Yeah.
And it took them 50 years to acknowledge her. So black girls will still have time. We're, in fact, next week back in Dallas, we're going to have another audition and invite the major companies to come out and look at our black girls. But it wasn't just black girls. I say of color. We had girls from Canada, we had girls from Japan, we had girls from France who came out looking for work and looking for opportunities.
So tell us a little bit, I mean, you know, you mentioned that, who was before Misty Copeland? Obviously, that's what's getting a lot of attention
Well,
now.
I think Raven Wilkerson was the first one that would really, she went to Ballet Roost to Monte Carlo. And when she went to the South, she had to powder herself white. The Ku Klux Klan ran her out of town. So, you know, Dolores Brown, Judith Jamison started off as a ballet dancer. But there were many. Billy Wilson was a ballet dancer. He ended up in the Netherlands. He choreographed Yubi, the Bubbling Brown Sugar. But he started off as a ballet dancer, but the opportunities weren't there.
Wow. You know what we're going to do? We're going to hear more from Philadelphia. Welcome back to 28 Days and Beyond. Something was getting to me over the break. How did Misty Copeland challenge the stereotype when it came to dance?
Well, I don't think she challenged it. It took them 15 years to give her an opportunity. She was there. I think when they I think she was marketed, where they put her out there, you know, the Armor, the commercial, she danced with Prince. So she was put in the face of the public. And I think that they could not very well not have hired her, because I think there would have been some contention of why didn't you hire her? Well, she's an excellent dancer. I don't knock that, but I think it's just like I always compare her when Alicia Keys and India.Arie. They picked Alicia because she was marketable.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
But I always felt India.Arie could sing better.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so this is what happened with Misty. She was marketed, and she's still being marketed, and she's making a lot of money, and she's dancing well. But there are many, many, many. I looked at 10 girls today on a commercial, black girls that have made it. Michaela de Prince had to leave the country. She's with the Netherlands because she was dark. She's a brown girl, you know. So Misty kind of fades into the chorus. You have to look for her. But again, I think the opportunities just weren't there. They didn't open the doors. Pennsylvania Ballet has the first 2 black ballerinas in 47 years. They've always had a black man, or occasionally had a black man, but never a black ballerina that they hired 2 of them. They may have one. Heidi was there for a minute. Deborah Austin was there for a minute, but they don't open the doors. You know, the director says the company has to keep that European look. I think ballet should look like America.
Or the world.
Now, you know, that's interesting because, and I think it's a very important point that we make a lot of times when we see these quote unquote firsts. You know, we don't hear about all of those who came before, who may not have made, you know, we hear about Jackie Robinson, but not all those great athletes who,
the Negro League, right?
The Negro, which was filled with, you know, of course, Jackie Robinson was chosen because he was acceptable.
Right.
You know, they knew he wasn't gonna fight back. You know, Satchel Paige or Josh Gibson may not have. So, But how has her appearance, Misty Copeland's appearance on the scene, have you seen it influence more
Well, I
young
think
black girls to
the attendance changed because
Okay.
people wanted to see who was this, again, that they heard about, they read about, they saw. They went to see dance. And I think many years ago when I started IABD, they talked about changing how they sold ballet to the audiences, and a lot of the directors didn't feel that that could happen. They weren't interested in our audience because we didn't subscribe. We didn't buy tickets in advance. So now that they put her out there and they sold her, then the people come to see her. And again, she can dance, but why did it take 15 years?
Right.
For the ones that don't get the same recognition or the same platform, what do you teach to have them have that intestinal mental fortitude to keep going on to pursue their dreams,
Well, you know,
despite that stuff?
For me, it's very difficult in my school. Years ago, I had girls who wanted to be ballet dancers. Now all they see is, so you think you can dance, and dancing with stars.
Interesting.
So they want to learn all the tricks. They
Yeah.
want to, you know, bring it, shaking the weaves and all that. This is what we see. This is what we're selling our kids. They're not selling them the craft. They're not selling them the technique. They don't want to be a ballet. And first of all, if they go see Nutcracker, how many are they going to see of us? So they think that's unattainable. So we have to show our youngsters that they can be. That's why we invited these kids from all over the country. I have a little girl from Madison, Wisconsin, who got hired by Oregon Ballet. They would never have seen her. You know.
Wow. Why did you feel it was important to integrate Philadelphia?
Well, I think you can't talk about prejudice in practice. So you have to say, okay, my door's open, why aren't your doors open?
Okay.
Right now, and I have 2 Latino kids. The last white girl I had, she got her degree while she was in the company. She's teaching at the University of Oklahoma. So I had auditions the other day, and I'm like, do I hire another white girl because the company has to be integrated, or do I hire the best dancer? So, you know, you have to.
How you deal with that?
do all
Now,
that,
come on.
which is the same thing they do.
Yeah.
You know, I got to hire a black girl. I got to have one, but you have to have more than one. You have to have the best dancers, and if the black girls are capable, there's no reason not to hire them.
So how do you break that stereotype? Like, because people see the award shows, and like you said, now they have all these reality TV shows, and the craft is somewhat being lost in a way. You know, how does that impact giving young ladies opportunities of color, and then them not learning the technique, fighting that, straddling those two?
Well, it's not just young ladies. A remarkable dancer, and he got a lot of press last week, Anthony Burrell. He was he could have been a ballet dancer if given the opportunity. He's choreographing for Mariah and Beyonce, which is okay. But his career was changed or channeled because he couldn't get the opportunity to do what he would have been able to do if given the opportunity. So it happens all the time. I can't change it. The world has to change. They have to realize again that it doesn't matter the color of your skin, that if you're capable, give you an opportunity.
I want to pick up on something you said, because, you know, from my impression of ballerina and ballet and dance, it always had a feminine undertone to it, right? Even with the men.
Yeah.
But now you're seeing athletes, quote unquote, you know, who are physical and they understand the importance of balance. You know, so when they come in and they think they, you know, fluid and all those things, what are some of the things you got to break down with them mentally?
Well, I think by the time they get to me,
Okay.
to want to be a professional,
Okay.
you know, they're prepared.
Okay.
I mean, I had auditions yesterday. I had 8 men. I couldn't hire any of them, not because they couldn't dance or couldn't do it, because they couldn't transfer what they've learned to what we do. So again, it's just like when you hire an athlete, you need a pitcher. You need a catcher, so we have to have the dancers with me that can do all the other things that we need them to do. So we're not breaking barriers when they come to my company, because by the time they're 19, 20 years old, they've had training and they're ready to do what we do, maybe.
Didn't Herschel Walker do some of this as well?
I don't remember Herschel Walker
I
doing
think
it.
Herschel
See,
Walker-
I'm not a. I had to ask my daughter. She's a
I did see him in some tights.
basketball, all that she could tell you about. I don't. But and I'm like, why are you looking at that? Turn on the ballet. But
let me ask you another question that comes to mind is, in your experience, obviously with dance, have you we noticed that, Black folks have a tendency to bring their own particular flavor and style to any art form that they undertake. What have you noticed that's sort of unique to the Black approach to maybe modern dance or ballet? Or
Well, they talk about Black dance, and then we say, well, what's Black dance? Dance done by Black people, dance choreographed by Black people, dance to Black music. There is a difference.
Right.
There's a difference in what we do. There's a different way we walk. There's a different way we talk. Obama had swag.
all that.
So all those things happen that are characteristic of our culture. Those things you can't change. They talk about Philadelphia. When I first started, we did a dance, and they were saying some of it was vulgar. Now everybody's being vulgar, and it's fine. I remember when the kids were spinning on the corner on cardboard doing hip hop and break dancing.
Yeah.
Now everybody across the country, the Japanese got hip hop and gone. So it's what did Langston Hughes said? They taking my music and gone. This is what happens. They take our stuff, and it becomes theirs.
Everything but the burden. Yep.
Wow. We'd like to thank you, Joan Meyers Brown, for coming to the set. And for more information, you can go to visit our website so you can find out more information about Joan Meyers Brown and Philadelphia.
Well, in honor of Black History Month, we pay tribute to a living legend, Joan Meyers Brown. She's the founder of Philadelphia Dance Company and School, and she's made it her life's mission to pave the way for Black dancers.
Well, I started dancing in high school, and I came up in the time of segregation, so it was always been a fight to make sure that Black dancers get opportunities.
I studied under Joan Meyers Brown, and growing up, I understood at an early age that the words Black and ballerina were an oxymoron.
There's a film that's called Black Ballerinas, and one of the artistic directors of a company says they have to adhere to the aesthetic of the cultural European picture of ballet. But we said we want ballet to look like America. We want it to be diverse and integrated and beautiful like our country.
But if you ever see a performance by a major company like New York City Ballet or Pennsylvania Ballet, you'll realize that there is not a lot of diversity.
Welcome back to 28 Days. Amari, what are some of the things that stood out from that intriguing conversation?
One of the things I always appreciate, in my conversations with elders is they provide that historical context, right? So we see a lot of things that are happening nowadays in terms of, like we said, the Misty Copelands, but really to understand, whose shoulders does she stand on? Who were the people who came before, and how did they get to that point? And another thing was in this sort of instant gratification, right? She really emphasized the importance of craft. So a lot of folks just want to be on TV and become stars overnight. But she's talking about developing craft over a period of time. I mean, she said, she's 47 and 57 years old. You know what I mean? Her school and her company, that's an institution. What about you?
Well, one of the things that's frustrating and baffling at times is how come we still have to fight those barriers when they know the talent exists? How come that in these institutions that there won't be fair and equitable opportunity and let the chips fall they may based on ability? That why we're still fighting this battle when it comes to equality, but in a sense fairness, where we're saying, land of the free and home of the brave, where we still allowing these biases to impact us to give other people opportunities. So that's one of the things that we got to really work on and kind of educate the public not to do that, okay? And it's one of those things that's got to change.
But at the same time, one of the things that was really, inspiring and empowering about her story is, you recognize that there are no opportunities, so you take it into your own hands to create those opportunities. I mean, how many hundreds of thousands of people have come through her school or through her company because she decided that, they're not getting this anywhere else, I'm gonna be the one to step up, right? One of the great lessons that we can learn from our past is, you need to be able to create opportunities where there are none. Build your own institutions. If they're not gonna let us in, we're not gonna fight them to, give us a shot. We're gonna make our own situations so that we can sort of move forward with that. So I think that was really powerful.
Well, I'm gonna say this, that I think one of the things that we should do is a call to action. We have to support these individuals. We have to, alumni have to give investment of their time and their money and all of the other resources to these institutions to be sustainable. Because if not, we have nobody but to blame but ourselves. If other people are not willing to do those things, then we have to support this from the inside out.
I agree.
And we gotta understand that instead of saying, hey, cry about this, cry about that, we gotta invest our money. But we'd like to do this. Thank you for tuning in with 28 Days and Beyond, where we reflect on our history, our heritage, our culture, and our own authentic voice. And thank you for tuning in.